seated.
I think we typically stay standing
I'm sorry.
for the Shema. That's okay. Yeah, you may rise for the Shema on page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Now you may be seated.
And I invite Simone.
I don't think
Here?
so.
I don't see.
Here.
That's what I was looking for. Okay, well then we'll continue with the Haftarah.
Okay, page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantan levanecha, vedibarta bam, veshivtecha bevetecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, uvshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotafot bein einecha. Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. And we continue in joy and praise with Micha Mocha on page 158.
Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh,
Nora tehilot osei fele.
Nora tehilot osei fele. One more time.
Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot osei fele. Nora tehilot osei fele.
Malechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei ayam lifnei Moshe Miriam, ze Elianu ve'amru, ze Elianu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
You can join me on page 163, and together we'll say this before we sing Visham Ru, which is on the next, the previous page. Yeah. So we're starting on 163, and we'll go back to 162. But please join at the top of the page. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat. Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Our hearts and minds now turn to those who are in need of healing. And I will offer into our space the names in our community that I have on this list that we're keeping in our hearts. And after those, I will bring my hand and eyes across the room, and as they meet yours, please feel free to share any other names for those you're thinking of who may be in need of a blessing for healing. So tonight, we're thinking of Sarah Mindel, Richard Cohen, Brian Gleason, Phil Oberman, Deanna Drucker, Fred Solomon, Jonathan Rich, Bruce Newman, Susan Vidal, Robert Parks, Neil Mitchell, Charlotte Cohen, Lynn Newman, Hector Fidel, Ellen Gellison, Marshall Kaplan, David Dichter, Michael Cascone, Mark Goff, Young Kim, Scott Lingard, as well as we're also thinking of those still held captive in Gaza, those affected by acts of terrorism, anti-Semitism, and bigotry, those caught in natural and unnatural disasters, those healing from all too frequent gun violence, those affected by governmental budget cuts, and those caring for the ill. And we say, Misha Berach Avotenu V'Imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and we bless those, and we ask God to bless those and heal those who are ill. And we continue and sing in the middle of the page on page 371. Misheberach Avotenu Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say
those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We've come to the part in our service where we will pray individually, our Amidah, the standing prayer. And we have a moment for quiet reflection. And as you pray the Amidah this evening, I encourage you to take a deep breath and allow yourself to reflect. What are you leaving behind in this past week? What are you taking with you into Shabbat? Please rise and join us on page 164.
Adonai sevatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mehaye hakol atah, Rav lehoshia, Morid hatah. Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom, yehalelu hasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
And we continue silently until page 180, when you may be seated.
Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu. Od Yevo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam.
Okay. I'm excited. I love numbers. The summer parshiot are very fun and dramatic, mixed in between just a lot of lists, which is also, I love a list. So I'm going to start with a brief overview so we have context for everything that's happening in this parsha, and then we'll zoom into one spot. So very quickly, last week we finished with the incident of Balak at Balaam and the talking goat, and he tries to curse, etc. And then kind of like, meanwhile, we flash back to the Israelites who are sat at Shiftim, and they have decided to commingle with the Midianites. And there's a huge fallout over that. The title of this parsha is called Pinchas, and we will learn, hint, 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 all about him in a moment. After this, God calls Moses and Joshua to do another consensus. So they do a consensus, they list out all of the holidays, their dates and times, and when we will, and what exact sacrifice has to happen. And then we get to, I'm sure some of you have heard of the stories of the daughters of Zelophehad, he had 5 daughters, the dad dies, and they're also in this parsha portioning out all the land. And, they go to Moses, they pass right by their uncles, right by their brother, anyone who should technically take the issue up, and they go to Moses, and Moses takes it to God and say, yeah, just because their dad died doesn't mean they shouldn't get land. And so for then out, unmarried daughters, if their father dies, they are entitled to that land. And then we finally finish with Moses announcing the transfer of power to Joshua. And we're kind of at the mount. Moses' story is coming to a close. So we're going to rewind, and we see this fallout of the Israelites profaning with the Midianite women. They decide to pray to their idols. They do a whole lot of debauchery, and God says the only way to deal with this is, the Israelites have crossed me. This is the last time. They're all gone, all of them. Not one can be saved. Gone, gone, gone. And Pinchas, in this kind of meeting with God where he's saying, yeah, so sorry guys, everybody's going to be gone, he sees kind of in the corner of his eye
an Israelite man and a Midianite woman pass by doing some sort of act that a lover might do, and he follows them into their room and stabs them both straight through the stomach. That's it. They're dead. They're dead. They're done. Gone. He comes back to his little group who've all been weeping, praying, please have mercy. They're not all bad. I promise, I promise, I promise. Please, 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 please. I'm assuming Pinchas, covered in blood, returns, and God then says that, Pinchas's impassioned act to kill these lovers has saved all of the people, and he has enacted my vengeance on my behalf. Let that sit. And furthermore, God then blesses Pinchas and his entire line with a peace act, saying, I, God, will never put Pinchas or any priests in a position where they feel they have to kill and act out what is my will, my vengeance, my thing to deal with, as long as they promise to never be violent. So this kind of peace pact to promise to God that nothing like this will ever happen again. I don't know if you're confused, but I too am and was confused by this whole scene. I don't really understand the framing of, to me it seems like Pinchas is being rewarded for killing, and kind of saying that because they were doing something wrong gives him the right as a priest to enact the bidding of God. I kind of thought about God maybe like, the framing of this to me felt like managing a PR crisis, right? Like if his plan was to kill absolutely everybody, not save a single soul, then Pinchas he now can't really do that, because then he would be proving to people that you can act vengefully, you can know my will more than God, like you know more than I do. And so the way that God kind of frames this is that Pinchas is the hero, that he is able to save the rest of the Israelites by killing these two sinners in their act of sin. So maybe, though, it's not that God is rewarding Pinchas. This is like a pretty messed up situation to try to mitigate, and humans, I think the problem here is, to me, Pinchas is acting as God. This is the problem with zeal. I think the Torah is trying to tell us. And that when we act by trying to punish someone who's sinned, if one were to act out of vengeance on behalf of God, that is kind of entering this moral danger for ourselves. Like, why do we know more? How are we so sure? We're stepping on God's toes. And to me, we're hiding the fact that Pinchas acts in an impulse, in his negative emotions. And I really ask the question of, in that moment, was Pinchas acting out of God's vengeance, or was he himself so angry at the Israelites' transgressions that he acted in the heat of the moment, at the height of his emotions, of his rage? Imagine you were in the middle of weeping at the tent of meeting, trying to conjure God and pray for the mercy upon your people that you are spiritually and morally responsible for, and as you're praying, I promise they'll be good, someone literally in front of you, in front of God, is doing the act you're begging for mercy for. Yeah, I also probably would get really, really angry at my constituents. And I would I can understand that maybe that is a fit of emotion. He snapped, he killed, acting on his rage. And this sends that terrible message that God allows humans to intimidate and act out of judgment, punishment, and vengeance. I look to Rashi, a commentator of the Torah, who says that who comments on this phrase, Pinchas has turned my anger away from the Israelites by being zealous with my zeal. Pinchas executed my vengeance and showed the anger I should have shown. Here, I really think that Rashi's pointing out that Pinchas was acting as God should act. And at the end of the Parsha, Joshua is appointed as Moses' successor. He is kind of the opposite. Joshua, we are told, is strong, he's decisive, he's measured, and he follows protocol. Juxtaposing Pinchas, who at the beginning we see this act of impulsive and impassioned will. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks says on this parsha that in Judaism we are commanded to walk in God's ways and imitate his attributes. Just as he is merciful and compassionate, so you be merciful and compassionate. That is not, however, the case when it comes to executing punishment or vengeance. God who knows all, may execute sentence without trial. But we, being mere humans, may not. There are forms of justice that are God's domain, not ours. So in this story, in all this drama, I think it's a lesson on our emotions, that we have to do our best to be mindful when we are angry. It cautions us that despite how much we think we know, how right we feel, humans are prone to irrationality that cloud our ability to act in ways that are true to our values and really honor this commitment that we make to the treatment of each other. Righteous anger, zeal, frustration, these emotions are something to, I think, look upon, to be curious about, and not to act. The execution of those feelings makes us less holy, this parsha teaches us. And we take away and claim a power that is not for us, it is only for God. We can lose sight of the other human in front of us. We can lose sight of our own humanity. Our power as humans is our humility. It is our ability to act from a place of compassion, sympathy, and forgiveness. And we can leave all the vengeance to God. So, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for being here, for listening to me. I hope we can talk more later. And I'd love to hear some thoughts. And I think Cynthia, is going to come up and share some announcements with us and bring our service to a close.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So thank you, Rabbi Chess. I always appreciate it when a rabbi says they're confused, because I'm always confused when I hear these stories. So it's nice to, be validated. And thank you, cantorial soloist Hallie, and James in the back. Thank you so much. I hope you all read the announcement that Rabbi Chess is our rabbinic fellow. And so I think we should all be really proud that we have a rabbinic fellow, because part of our mission is to train the next generation. So it's wonderful that you're here. So a couple of things for the calendar. Make sure that you note for next Friday night, it's Shabbat at the beach. or Shabbat at the park/beach with Wise Temple. And those of us who went last year found it to be quite lovely. So please take advantage of that lovely evening out. So there's no services here next Friday night. On Friday, August 15th, we are having the first Shabbat in the park that we have had since before COVID, so that's very exciting. And our team here is a major, leader of the program, and there'll be local synagogues from all over LA joining us. So it's at De Toledo High School, so that we can have a safe space with good security. But you have to RSVP to get a parking space, so make sure you do that. And all the information is in the Shalom sheet. Join us August 22nd, the night of the year, Blowout Shabbat. Wayne will be here leading the watermelon eating contest. And I know everybody thinks it's just an event for kids, but really it's a lovely evening for everyone. And I believe that we're going to have sort of a full bima that night with all the various members of our growing clergy staff who are here for us this year. So come and meet everybody. That'll be the opportunity to do that. And also RSVP, because we always want to make sure we have enough food and margaritas. Membership renewal, if you haven't done it yet, and I know most people haven't, so please do. Really important that we maintain this spiritual home. Our motto is we want to protect and preserve and prepare. And all of those things require you to be here and be present and contribute as much as you can in your congregational commitment. Lots of activities going on, so watch for your weekly emails. Thank you to Saray and Herb and Melissa and the whole family, the whole meshpucha that's here in memory of Jack and Esther Oren. And thank you for that beautiful proneg. And Liz Newman, where are you sitting there? And your wonderful family in memory of Charles Newman and Pauline Bank. And thank you for also co-sponsoring tonight. Tonight's tzedakah, we are giving to the Kerr County Flood Relief Fund. The QR code is on the back of your Shalom sheet. And if you are new here tonight, although I don't see a lot of new faces, but welcome if you are. And wish you a good night. And I love that we've been ending these remarks every week with be safe, be vigilant, take care of yourselves and each other. Good night.
Thank you, Cynthia. All right. So we will now turn to those who are to honor those who are no longer with us in the Mourner's Kaddish, which you can find on page 598. Sorry, so many papers. Tonight we are honoring the yortzites of Pauline Bank, Vera Barad, Larry Benjamin, Ira Bleth, Harold Eldon, Michael Flamer, Ted Heimlich, Murray Heller, Jonathan Higgins, Peggy Ellen Holm, Arthur Oliver Hutton, Crana Levitt, Leonard Libarkin, Susan Marks, Claire Menken, Charles Newman, Esther Oren, Jack Oren, Turan Pordavouti, Michelle Rodriguez, Judy Rosen, Cynthia Schwartz, Clarence Shockley, Yetta Wiseman, Murray Weiner, Patsy Moggetts Zimmerman, as well as anyone who is in their first week of mourning. I invite you to rise and say the name of that person, if there's anyone. And if you're in the first, in Shloshim, in the first months of mourning, please rise so we can see you. And if you are honoring a yortzeit tonight, please rise. We also are thinking of those in our community, Louis Paleo, remembered by the Friedman family, Amy Cotier, remembered by the Cotier, Milner, Friedman, and Kidder families, Emily Lamar, remembered by Clayton Smith and family, Elaine Jensen, remembered by the Kate and Jensen families. And we also hold in our prayers the hostages and soldiers we have lost in the current Mid-East conflict, those taken by gun violence, the innocents taken in senseless acts of warfare and violence, those that have passed due to floods, fires, and other natural and unnatural disasters, those who died due to lack of vaccination and changes in standardized rational health care, and those that have no one but us to say Kaddish for them. And please look around. These are the people who are in mourning in our community, and I now invite you to join them and rise if you are able. And we recite the Kaddish on page 598. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirteh v'amlich malchuteh, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dekol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'itadar, v'itale, v'talal, shmei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da miran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. And you may be seated. Our service is coming to a close, and you can join us with Oseh Shalom.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know if you want to stand up and put your arms around the people around you, if you're comfortable, we're going to join together in Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh Shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh Shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom,
Hey,
yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom,
hey,
yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
all right. And Liz and family, would you mind, I don't want to put you on the spot, would you mind joining us for the blessings? And all you have to do is hold the challah. All right. But first,
Well, we can start with the grape juice or wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
amen.
You can take a sip.
And then please join us close to the bima before we do hamotzi, so that we can all touch the challah. Come on in. Make sure you're touching someone who's touching someone who's touching the challah. Or just touch. There's still space. I do kind of like the train here.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Right, Shabbat Shalom.